Filling your Sani Scrub, you remove the black cover, fill with water or your pre-mixed chemical to your dispenser. If you're adding the chemical manually, add your water first, then your chemical after, to avoid over foaming of the product in the clean water tank. To install your drive pad or your brush, you're going to bend down and put it on the machine manually. You turn the machine around, you have a foot lever down here on the right, and if you push down and to the left, lowers the deck. Your next step is cycle the machine on. With the deck in the lower position, this switch here will activate your brush head. One flick on quick will lock that into place. Then you can lift your drive pad back up. After your brush is installed, your next step is the splash load. You have two channels, one on either side, metal channels. This black plastic has to be on top of that channel on both sides. Once you get to the very front of the machine, you just give it a bump and you'll hear like a crack, and it's installed. To take that off, I grab back here and just lightly pull, and it will come back off. To take your drive pad off is just a quick turn. Again, we'll put this back on. Put this shroud back on. Lower our deck. And that just locks the drive pad onto the machine. You do have a brush adjustment to add more pressure to the brush. So turning it clockwise will increase, and turning it counterclockwise will decrease the pressure. Your next step is to install your squeegee assembly, and the squeegee assembly looks like this. You back the knobs off enough you can get them in between the plate and just hand tight. Install your suction hose. The control panel of the machine is pretty straightforward. You have two knobs here. If you back those off, you can adjust the handle height up or down. You back them off, adjust it at the level you want, and then tighten them back up. You cycle your key switch on. We have fully charged battery. This is a battery life indicator. So as you use the machine, you'll start to lose light. It'll go from green to orange, and then when it's in the red flashing, that's time to take it back to charge. This light also works when you charge the machine. So you're going to charge the machine via cord in the back, and I'll show you that in a little bit. Once you plug it into a wall, you'll see this work in the opposite way. So it'll start out red, and then it'll go to orange, and then it will go to green when it's fully charged. Only when it is green is when you disconnect and use the machine. Do not interrupt the charge when it is in orange or red. If you do, and then you start to use the machine, you will kill the batteries. So the machine cycled on, we're ready to use the machine. You can lower your brush deck, lower your squeegee, and then just cycle your vacuum on. And then you can cycle the brush head on. As soon as you flick your brush head, it starts spinning automatically. You have circuit breakers here. One's for your traction, and the other one's for your vacuum. To make the machine move forward is just a lever here. forward, reverse. Right now it's forward. Pull that backwards, it's reverse. Push it again, it's forward. And you have a parking brake. Right now the parking brake is engaged. To release it, you simply grab the lever and it'll release. To put the parking brake back on, you squeeze the lever and you push this little red tab in. So again, it's locked into place, release, and then you can start using the machine. The harder you squeeze your throttle handle, it's just like a car. The harder you squeeze, the faster it will go. And if you just lightly press it, it'll just lightly move slowly. Your squeegee operation is on the left-hand side of the machine. So just cable activated by this lever. So downward lowers the squeegee, and you pull it back up, raises the squeegee. You go to the right-hand side of the machine. And you have water control. Right now it's in the off position. As you pull that back, you will get more and more water. And now it's fully open. When you're done using the machine at the end of the day, it is recommended you put that in the off position. If not, you may get dripping out of the front of the machine when it's parked. Your charge cable, which the charge port is located right here. There's a little diagram as well for the charger. Down here is your clean water discharge hose. So to empty your clean water tank is located on the back right side of the machine. You pull the cover off and simply lower it to a drain. So you're done operating your scrubber at the end of the day. This is the procedure to clean your machine up at the end of the day. Remove your suction hose, take your squeegee off. You put this squeegee right into a janitor sink and rinse it off. That way no debris gets built up inside your channel here. As well as this rear blade can be flipped 4 times. So the red blade is the rear blade, and you simply undo this buckle here and the strap comes off, and you can flip this 4 times. So you have an edge here, and then an edge on the back side, and then 2 more on the top. So end to end, and then flip it vertically. And then you can go end to end again. The next crucial thing, this should be checked probably once a week or once every other week, and this is your clean water filter. You want to make sure your tank is completely empty of clean water before you do this procedure. If you don't, you will get wet fast. So you just back this cover off. You can take this port cover off, and then just inside there will be a mesh screen. And what this mesh screen does is it prevents it prevents debris from going through the water lines and into the solenoid. And it's not threaded, it simply just pushes down into the hole. And I'll show you a little closer. You can see it just sitting inside the tank. And then you just reverse your procedure to put it back together. Your next procedure would be to take your shroud off, remove your drive pad or your brush, and you can put that right in a sink and rinse that off as well. If it's a drive pad, you remove the drive pad off the drive pad holder. So you remove your pad and you rinse your pad off with a high pressure sprayer, and you hang it up to dry. Your recovery tank should be rinsed thoroughly and drained. And you can drain your recovery tank via this side hose. We'll just back the camera up a little bit. Via this side hose. So again, to empty your dirty water tank, you take the cover off this hose and you can lower into a sink, and then you can rinse your recovery tank out. Your recovery tank, you'll notice, has a white float assembly in here, and what that does is if when the recovery tank gets full, it hits that, pushes that white lever up and will shut off the vacuum motor. You also have a vacuum motor filter, which is right here, your blue filter. You can rinse that at the end of the day. Just make sure it's dry before it goes back in place, because your vacuum motor is right underneath that mesh screen there. So we've cleaned, we've flushed out the clean water tank. We've taken off the drive pad, rinsed the drive pad or brush, removed the squeegee, rinsed that. So we're ready to put it on charge at the end of the day, and leave the hood open as well, because that will prevent any stink or foul smell coming from your recovery tank. You can also access your batteries. I'll just move the camera back. By pulling your suction tube out of this hole here, you can lift and you have access to your battery compartment. To put that back down, there's a slot in that panel that locks it, so you just lift up and you can lower that back down. So that is the Sani Scrub 20. Special notes. At the end of the day, make sure you take the squeegee assembly off, clean it thoroughly. Make sure you take your shroud, your brush or your drive pad off. Clean those in a sink. Make sure your dirty water tank or recovery tank is completely rinsed and emptied. Your clean water tank completely emptied of all clean water. Your vacuum filter cleaned. That way, the next day, the user coming in has a fresh, clean machine to use. All they need to do is fill it up with water and chemical and use it. Another note is, anytime you plug it in to charge it, make sure you commit to the full charge. Do not interrupt the charge halfway through. So, for example, if it's in orange or red, do not unplug it and use it. By doing that, you are killing the batteries in this machine. Regardless of the usage, if you use it for 20 minutes, a half hour, an hour, 2 hours, whatever the usage is for that day, you're to plug it in at the end of that day. The charger will not overcharge the batteries. It will stop once the charge is complete, and that way you always have a fresh charge for the next operator that's ready to use the machine.